What is going on, guys? My name is UnRated and welcome back to the channel. Today I am finally bringing a very requested video from people that I do my affinity friendly nightmare slash ultra nightmare team. So it is relatively easy for, I guess, an end game player to have these champs. I don't want to call it free to play friendly. There's no rares. But there's only one legendary which is fusible, which is Rosin. This works on all affinities. It is able to 1-key Nightmare, and it is able to 3-key Ultra Nightmare. In the current state of my gear, it is RNG dependent nonetheless, so it isn't consistent like an unkillable team that 100% of the time you're going to be able to 1-key Nightmare. I'm sure if you can min-max this team to perfection, and get all the gear sorted properly, you probably could 1-key Nightmare very consistently, but in my case, this is an alt of mine. It is not great on gear-wise, not heavily focused in damage. It's all in survivability, going up to the 50 turns, if I get lucky enough not to die. So anyways, I'm just going to go straight into the chants, and then I will talk about the Masteries. So, Sepulcher, fastest champ. Going to be coming at 242. I know for a fact you can go 2-speed lower or 2-speed higher with no issues. I'm not if you can't get those speeds exactly, you can try changing it. I don't think it can go lower than 239 for sure, but like I said, there's no damage on this champ, and that pretty much goes for most of the champs. I just don't have the gear, but yeah, 4500 defense, obviously worse survivability. Accuracy is low for Ultra Nightmare, which does become an issue, so I got things to work on myself. You want to aim for at least 250 accuracy if you're going to be doing Ultra Nightmare on any champ that needs accuracy for it. So, second fastest champ is Rosin, coming in at 178. He cannot be 179, but he can be slower than 178. But you can't put him at 179. As always, use Deadwood calculator just to make sure. I know some champs, depending on their base speed and how many speed sets you use, actually can throw your speed off. I know for my Sepulcher 242, you plug in just one speed set, no lower steel or Terminator masteries, it goes down to like 241 point something. So things like that can happen. Always check just to make sure. But if you are going to use this comp and follow my speeds exactly, you should not have a problem. But yeah, Rosin, he does need more defense so you can do more damage, and he has the survivability. Accuracy, again, it is low, something I'm still trying to work on. His damage is better, not great, but you don't need max damage or anything like that to get this done, but it does help. Second fastest champ, Pulp Brawler, 177, 100% crit rate, pretty much no crit damage in that sense. Very low accuracy for Ultra Nightmare, something I still gotta work on, and he only has 2600 defense. You might be thinking, well, he's gonna die very early. Well, I recently just did a recording of him going to turn 50, and then I forgot to record. So yeah, sadly I don't have that one, but he was the last chance to survive, surprisingly enough, at 2600 defense. But as always, try to improve on it if you can, but some things happen and he can die early, so 2600 defense isn't great. You probably want to at least aim for 3000, 3500 preferably, even higher if you can, but it is unlikely since his base defense is so low. Up next is Sandless Survivor, 175 speed. Accuracy doesn't really matter on her if you're just going to use her on clan boss. It's not really needed at all. 4800 defense, really good, help her survive. I do want to bump up her HP though, just as her crit rate and crit damage, that needs to come up too, as she can hit very hard. And then finally, where is Skullcrusher? So we got Skullcrusher in a lifesteal set, as everyone is in a lifesteal set. But 173 speed, this can go down to 171. He's at just under 4900 defense. His crit rate and crit damage is still not great. Accuracy does not matter on him. Lower the better on him. But overall, again, as you can see, it's not great gear. It is better than what some people might have, but it also isn't top tier 6-star all gold pieces or anything. It is obtainable for the average player, as again, I don't spend money on this account. This is an alt account. It's just I've been playing on this account for about a year now, so obviously it's a year worth of pretty much free to play gear over time. For Masteries though, I went down pretty much the support tree for most. You could change that up if you want though. I went down the typical War Master route. I went for Cyclone of Violence on some of the chants just for like faction wars and dungeons and whatnot. You don't have to do that. Only thing you have to 100% avoid is, I would say, Lure Steel and any of the Turn Meter Masteries. 100% avoid those. I went down Master Hexer just to extend the attack buff if I can. In case that Sepulcher does die early, I can get that one extra turn with attack up, hopefully. It probably doesn't mean that much, but it is nice just in case it does miss. Rosin, pretty much the same idea. Went with Giant Slayer for him. I use him in dungeons, faction wars, all of that, so it is needed. Again, you can go down the typical support tree or the defense tree if you want, but this is how I'm running mine. Who's next? Pulp Brawler, same setup pretty much. I went with Light Drinker and Grim Resolve just in case he does drop under 50%. He can kind of stay alive a little bit better as he is squishy. Sandlash. I probably am going to change Sandlash to support and get lasting gifts and see how well that goes. Potentially getting the extension on the ally protection could help any of the chants stay alive for a little bit longer, but I will have to see. I'm not too fussed about it right now though. And then Skullcrusher is in the defense tree for survivability, as he's not placing any buffs that we need or want. So I'd say defense tree is the only one needed on Skullcrusher, and everyone else you can go with the support tree. So why this team is really good, you are pretty much sharing ally protection between Skullcrusher and Sandlash. I know Sandlash is on a 4-turn, but it does come in handy. Sadly, if she was on a 3-turn, this comp would be absolutely amazing, but it is not. But for the most part, it comes in really good. And then Sepulcher with her A2, with the increased defense and block buffs for 2 turns, which you can extend to 3. Pretty much on after AoE 1, AoE 2, and the stun, you will have block debuffs and defense up at all times. Why I do it, the rotation that I do is Skullcrusher pretty much eats all the damage on AoE 1. He cannot die because he has the unkillable, and then after that it's just he's healing up over time. You don't really need the defense up for that, especially on Nightmare. On Ultra Nightmare, I'd probably say it is a little bit more valuable, but for me, this is how I've done it. This is how it works for me, and I've had really good results, as this is my first comp that I built that's not an unkillable, that has managed to 1-key Nightmare, and it is with 4 epics. I'm pretty impressed with myself, especially with the gear. Obviously, if this was on my main account, I could probably do it no problem, a lot of different chants, but for an alt account that is pretty much free to play all the way through, besides like the battle pass, I'm impressed. So pretty much I'm going to be showing in a clan boss run is all you have to do for Nightmare is when you first start it up, you delay all you do is delay Sepulcher by 1 turn, Sandlash by 1 turn, auto until turn 3. I will hopefully use a recording that I remember that I show you how to do it on turn 3, how to do the setup. But all you have to do is when it gets to the point where turn 3 comes around after the stun, You gotta make sure that Sepulcher does not put defense up and the block buffs after the stun, and you gotta make sure it comes after AoE 1. You have up to turn 6 to do that, to make sure that it syncs well. If you do it all the way to turn 6 though on Spirit, it will cause Skullcrusher to unsync, or anyone else that is a lower speed too, along Skullcrusher. But for the most part, I think it would actually only unsync Skullcrusher. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I avoid going to that stage. I do my best to remember on stage, or round 3, to delay Sepulcher by 1 turn. I will hopefully remember to show that. But for Ultra Nightmare, there is no delaying needed. You can honestly hit auto immediately, but using Skullcrusher at the speed he is at, you probably want to manual Skullcrusher to the point where he does his counter after the first stun. Obviously, if you use his counter, he's going to miss the first AoE attack, and your team will lose damage and probably wipe. That's all you really have to do. It's a very simple process. Hopefully I remember to show you guys. If you have any questions about the comp or anything like that, feel free to ask away. The only chance that cannot be switched out are Sepulcher and Sandlashed. Skullcrusher, more than likely, as his ally attack is very useful. I guess you could use someone like Jareg or anyone else with that ally protection. It probably won't work as well just due to the fact that Skullcrusher has that unkillable. Rosin is really hard to replace. Pretty much the only people I can see replacing him with a good result are probably Venus or Draco. I guess you can use someone like Stagnite. You're probably not gonna be at the 1 key without Rosin, as his damage output is really good. For Poisoner though, you can replace it with almost any Poisoner. I use a Pulp Brawler though, because it's one of the champs that I've built up. It's very consistent versus, say, Frozen Banshee. If you miss the poison sensitivity, you lose out on a lot of damage. That's why I don't use Frozen Banshee. That's all you have, you're perfectly fine. But overall, I think I've pretty much discussed what I need to discuss. I'm just gonna show you guys a run, and I hope that you guys do enjoy this. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask in the comments or join my personal community Discord, and I will try to help you there. It will also be a lot quicker for me to respond to you guys. So yeah, if you have any other questions too, the community Discord is the perfect place. I'm working very hard to try growing that and have theory crafting sessions with you guys or anything else like that. If you guys are interested in that, feel free to join that. Everything will be in the description. But anyways, enough rambling here. I'm going to show the run now and enjoy. So I'm going to quickly just show you guys a proper start on delaying it on turn 3, and then I'm going to show you a full run on what happens on Void if you wait too long to do it and my Skullcrusher gets stunned, and or if anyone else gets stunned in that matter, what you can do to fix that. But yeah, so again, you have up to whatever turn is on Void to correct yourself, but if it is on Affinity, especially Spirit, it will completely ruin your sync. So again, take this advice, do what I do on this part that I'm talking over for the start on Nightmare, and you will be perfectly fine. And on Ultra Nightmare, there is pretty much no delay besides Skullcrusher or anyone else that needs to be in perfect sync from the start to finish at the stun. Other than that, you are good to go. Nightmare is the only one that needs the delay. Ultra Nightmare is fine. Don't do what I do on the full clip. Do what I do on this part for Nightmare to have a successful, smooth run.